LearnCity. In today's class, we'll be looking at sources of constitution, sources of the constitution. Where are some of the sources we get our constitutions from? The constitution of a country is often established and formulated from various sources, which include the following. The Act of Parliament. The Act of Parliament are various statutes, enactments, or laws established by the Parliament through the passing of bills which eventually form part of the Constitution. So the Act of Parliament can become a source of the Constitution. Customs and traditions. These are the principles, the beliefs, the norms, and the way of life of the people which are considered and can also form part of the Constitution. So our beliefs, our norms, our way of life, our principles can equally form part of the Constitution. Our historical background. Our historical background is a source of formulating the Constitution by considering the historical and past political, economic, and social life of the people, which may be needed to remain intact. So, when we consider the history of the economy and the social life of the people, and equally the past political, economic, and social life of the people, if there are some parts of those aspects of life that we want it to remain intact, we can put those together and entrench it in the Constitution. So our historical backgrounds could also form a part of the Constitution. Conventions. Conventions are kind of explicit and unwritten sets of agreed, stipulated, or generally acceptable standards, norms, criteria, and precepts which also serve as a source of formulating constitution in a country. So the conventions. What are conventions? Conventions are explicit and unwritten sets of agreed, stipulated, or generally accepted standards. You know, there are some things that happen in our lives that basically it's not something that we could say is made as a law or a rule, but somehow we all just agree that this is what is right. Lying is wrong. Stealing is wrong, regardless of the religion. It's just agreed. Even atheists agree that all of these things are wrong. So conventions are those explicit unwritten sets of agreed, stipulated, and generally accepted standard, norms, criteria, and precepts, it could also serve as a source of constitution in a country. Previous constitutions. The past constitutions of a country and related constitutions of other countries may also serve as a source of establishing a new constitution in a country. So our previous constitution. What are some of the previous constitutions we've had in Nigeria? Some of the, for example, the current constitution we are using, which is the 1999 constitution, took most of, is more like a modification of the constitution we had in 1972. The previous constitution. For example, the 1999 constitution that we are currently using in Nigeria right now, adopted or is more like a modification of the constitution of the 1979 constitution. So previous constitutions or past constitutions of a country and other related constitutions of other country could also serve as a source of establishing a new constitution in a country. Judicial precedents. Judicial precedents. Judicial precedents. These are judgments of a court of law cited as an authority for deciding a similar set of facts or case, which could also serve as a form of formulating the Constitution. So judicial precedents are judgments that a court of law has made on certain issues before. And that such an issue could arise again. So bringing back the judgments that the court of law made when something similar happened before could also form a source of formulating the Constitution. For example, somebody kidnapped a person and murdered the person. This is the first time that such a situation is coming to the court of law. The judge makes a judgment on that case. Then 3-4 years later, something similar like that again comes up. Then people go back and find out what the judgment the judge made 4 years ago when something similar equally happened. So judicial precedents could also form a source for formulating constitution. International laws. International laws. International laws is another ready-made law by international organizations or communities which may also provide a means for establishing the constitution of a country. So the international laws of organizations or communities could also form a source for establishing the constitution of a country. constitutional conferences. Various decisions and consensus which at constitutional conferences held by delegates is also a source for drafting constitution of a country. For example, in Nigeria, when we're going to change into a federal system of government, that's the 1954 Littleton's Constitution, we had constitutional conferences whereby delegates were sent to London in order to draft this constitution. So the decisions and consensus reached at these constitutional conferences can also be a source for drafting the constitution of a country. With this, we've come to the end of this class. In the course of this class, we looked at some of the sources or some of the places where we could get parts of our constitution from. And I hope to see you at the next class.